Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andre. Today's video is on dementia. It is my fourth upload on dementia. And today I want to speak about things that have helped both me and my mum to cope with dementia. Now, for all those that are visiting my channel for the first time, my mum lives with me and I take care of my mum full time now. Initially, I worked full time and took care of my mum full time too. I now have carers in place. I have carers that come in to help 4 times a day, which is the main help that I have, and it's the biggest help that anybody can have with dementia, especially when you have good carers. I have an amazing team at the moment and we work as a team. That's the important thing here. You need to work as a team. You need to work together. So, carers aside and all the good things that they do, I have had first-hand experience with dementia, and that's my knowledge of dementia. I'm not a medic. I don't have any medical knowledge with regards to dementia. All my knowledge comes through first-hand experience. So let's talk about medication. My mum initially was given a medication called Aricept, and this, you know, there's no medication, or as far as I know, there's no medication out there that prevents dementia. But Aricept is supposed to be one of these medications that slows it down. Who knows? I couldn't sit here and say to you, yes, since my mum has started taking Aricept, or what she's now on Memantine, it has slowed it down. I don't know if that would have been the natural progression of dementia. I don't know if taking this medication has helped, but you know, I give her this medication in hope that it does help. I can't say yes it does or no it doesn't. What I can say is when she was given Aricept, she didn't react well to it. It changed her moods. It just did not agree with my mum at all. You know, like all medication, there's side effects, and Aricept just didn't agree with my mum in many ways. So we took her off that, and then she was put on Memantine, and she's been on that ever since, and she doesn't seem to have any side effects from the Memantine. This is a dearer medication than Aricept. Again, this works on the basis that it slows dementia down. Again, I don't know if it has, because I don't know what the natural progression would have been with my mum's dementia. So that's the medication to slow her Alzheimer's, her dementia down. Now, the other medication which I found very helpful, especially when I was working full-time, were these sleeping tablets. I'm not one for taking tablets or giving them to my mum, but there was times for her own safety, for my sanity, I needed to give my mum on a rare occasion a sleeping tablet, because she would be up all night. She would get up, she would bang doors, she would go up, she would go down, she would open things. She was just all over the place because she was confused. She has dementia. She didn't know if it was day, she didn't know if it was night. She was keeping me up all night, she was keeping the household up all night, banging doors, so on and so forth. So the doctor then prescribed sleeping tablets, and when we had a really bad night and she would refuse to go back to bed and she would get up time and time again, I would eventually give her one of these sleeping tablets. You know, trying to pronounce these tablets, it's Zimovin, I think. And the minute I gave her one of these tablets, poof, she would be out, and you know, we could all get to sleep. But again, trying to get her to take one, that's a difficult one, because my mum got to a stage where she would spit out medication What I do now with medication is I grind all her medication and I put it into her food. That's the only way I can get my mum to take her medication. So capsules that open up, I open them up and I put them in her food, and also grind them up. You're not actually allowed to do that for somebody. I have permission from the doctor. I also have power of attorney, which allows me to do all of that for my mum, for her own best interest and health and well-being, as far as, you know, well-being goes. So the other thing that helped were the sleeping tablets. Now, my mum, because of her dementia, had extreme mood swings, extreme anger, extreme agitation, and I made an appointment and I took her to a psychiatrist, which is what you have to do when somebody suffers with dementia. And we spoke about the problems that we were going through at the time, and I also explained I didn't want medication that would slow her right down and she would sit there kind of, you know, no life, no, just a, you know, a nothingness on her face. I didn't want that for my mum. You know, dementia had taken enough away without me giving her medication that would take everything away. So I explained that to the psychiatrist. So then she was prescribed these tablets here, Zappen or whatever it is. So I give her one of them last thing at night, and that has just calmed her down. Again, would she have calmed down eventually because of the dementia? Was that just a stage she was going through? I don't know. That's why I went to see a psychiatrist who advised me, and this is what she takes now every night. So that's the medication I have used or use for her dementia. Of course, she's on a lot of medication because my mum has a lot of other medical problems as well. But that is the medication that we use for my mum. My mum also has a catheter, and that's because she has kidney problems. That's not because of the dementia. The catheter is there because of kidney problems. I know some people have catheters fitted because with dementia comes all, you know, the forgetting to go to the toilet and all of that. But the reason my mum has a catheter is because she has problems with her kidneys. So that's the medication that we use. Now, there's a lot of equipment that we use in the house as well. And what I have to say here is, you have to, if you want to look after your loved ones, you have to be prepared to change your entire life. You need to change the way you do things, not just you. Your families have to change. You have to be prepared to basically change your life. So I'm going to take you around, I'm going to take you into my mum's room, and I'm going to show you some of the equipment that we have to have in the house because of my mum. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, which I found extremely helpful, but something very simple. Now, like I said, I worked full time. There was times when my mum was in the house alone. So again, I have spoken about this in the past. Remember, we're talking about loss of memory here. Of course, everybody's dementia is different, but it affected my mum in the way that she couldn't remember, you know, where the toilet was. So if I put a pad on my mum, her immediate reaction would be to take it off. So if I'm not in the house and she takes her pad off, you're coming home to a lot of mess. So, you know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to stop this. I really didn't. You know, another thing people with dementia go through is they go through wanting to take all their clothes off. So how I got round this situation was I bought my mum onesies, basically. And I'll show you what a onesie is, just in case anybody doesn't know a onesie. But it's like an all-in-one, like a baby grow thing that you put on babies. So this is basically a onesie. So as you can see, it just looks like a big baby grow. And I would put this on my mum back to front. And this also prevented my mum pulling out her catheter, which is another thing she used to do, because, you know, there's this thing there, she doesn't know what it is. So she would pull out the catheter, which you can imagine is something very painful. So again, for her own good, we would put this onesie on back to front, and she couldn't unzip it and get at the catheter and pull it out or pull off the pad. So this was a fantastic help for me. Yeah, a back to front onesie. The zip was at the back, so she couldn't get at it to take it off. That was the way I got round the problem of my mum keeping the pads on. A very simple problem, and not only did it help me, it helped her, kept her clean until I came home. So let's go through and show you some of the equipment. I do have a wheelchair put away. I don't use the wheelchair for my mum. I'm trying to keep her mobile for as long as possible, and I do find a wheelchair quite cumbersome trying to get it in and out, and it's just more trouble than it's worth. And at the moment my mum is still mobile, so I don't use the wheelchair. I do have a wheelchair. So let's go and look at the equipment. So here we are in the main bathroom. So this is where I bath my mum. So we have one of these seats in the bath, which just is controlled like so, and it basically just comes up, so then we can sit my mum on the chair and then use the chair to take her down into the water as well. So basically that's the chair coming up now. And then what happens is, I'll just stop that image. So what happens is these just flip over at the edge of the bath, which allows us to sit my mum down and then swing around. But even this is now getting really difficult, because she doesn't know how to sit basically. So you're shoving her onto the seat, she can't turn herself around, she can't maneuver herself anymore, she doesn't have the concept of doing that anymore. So that is getting really difficult, hence why nobody else is allowed, carers are not allowed to help in the bathing process, because of health and safety, and you know, it's a lot of back work trying to lift my mum onto the seat. So this is how I'm bathing my mum. We're in the process now of looking at getting, you know, maybe a walk-in shower, a wet room is the word I'm looking for. So we're looking at maybe turning this part into a wet room, but then you have to have special non-slip flooring, and then the whole thing's not gonna match. So we're still, now we also have this safety gate. It's just basically a children's gate, and at the moment this is basically used to keep the dogs out of the room. It's you know if my mum's walking about, she could trip on them or whatever, so that basically just keeps the dogs from getting into the room. So we also have a safety gate. Initially we did also use that for my mum's own safety as well. That you could, if she wanted to come out the room, you would hear the gate opening, and you could get to her quickly. So it slowed the process of her getting out the room and gave us time to get to her. So we also have the safety gate as well, basically a children's safety gate. So here we have my mum's bed, and this is a hospital bed, and it also has the bars on the side. And at the beginning, my mum would kind of try and climb over these bars, or she would slide down and come out through these spaces here. So again, this was trying to keep her in bed and stop her from falling out and all of that. And of course the bed does have all these different functions to it as well. It goes up, it goes down, you can put it up at one end, down at the other end, it does have all the different functions. It also has wheels, so if there's times where you can't get out of bed and you need to move the bed, things like that. So another big help is this hospital bed just here. And of course these are my mum's babies just here. She's having her lunch just now over there. So babies are in their beds. So these are great company for my mum. She cuddles them. It gives her something to do, basically, something to love, I suppose. So these are a great comfort for my mum. She dresses them, undresses them, kisses them, you know, all of that. So dolls are a great thing, I think, for somebody with dementia. It just gives them that comfort, and she cuddles them in bed as well. We put them in beside her when she sleeps. That's the TV in the background there, which my mum is watching. So the other thing, this was given to me just recently when I was in hospital for the burn on my leg, and I was talking to one of the nurses about my mum's dementia. She sent this to me for my mum, and this is called Twiddle Muff. So basically it has all these different things, and my mum does enjoy using it. What I will say is she does try and bite these things off, but you know, there's lots and lots of things to do with this. She plays with it, she touches it, she zips it, she unzips it, she puts her hands through in it. There's different textures when you put your hands inside there. You can see it's got all that different texture. So these are a fabulous idea, and she holds onto that all day long and plays with it, pulls the threads and all of that as well. On the wall here I just have some bullet words for the carers to use. So I have them written in, this is the Greek word for good morning, just here. So kalimera, good morning, kalispera, good afternoon. Just I found helps the carers, helps communication between the carers and my mum as well. So that's another thing so when my mum was going through the stage of getting up all through the night, what I bought was this pressure mat. So this is a pressure mat. So what I did was I'd push the bed to one side of the wall so she could only come out of the one side of the bed, and she would step onto this, and a buzzer would ring, which I had a buzzer sitting next to me in my room, and that would ring and alert me soon as my mum got up, so then I could go through and try and comfort her. So I found this, although I was up quite a few times during the night, this would go off quite often. I found this a help rather than my mum getting up, me not hearing her, and then she would do whatever she was going to do. So here we have this massive bit of equipment just here. These are the clothes that my mum plays with, dressing up the dollies and all that, her babies. So this is a hoist, and my mum absolutely hated this. She hated this with a passion, and the reason we have this is original carers that I had refused to work with my mum unless I had a hoist. And the reason being is, if you said to my mum stand up, she wouldn't stand up on her own. She needed help, and they said that they weren't allowed to lift her because, you know, then they could damage their backs, so on and so forth. So we had this hoist brought in, and you know, my mum absolutely hated it, because if you've ever seen how one of these works, it's horrendous. So she was basically tied into it, and it would lift her up, and my poor mum at the time couldn't understand what was happening, couldn't understand why she was being hoisted up. They basically refused to give her personal care unless they used a hoist. That was the first lot of carers that I had. Like I said, I now have a fabulous team who do not use this hoist at all, and I've never had the need of a hoist either. I've never ever needed to use the hoist to help my mum do the things that need to be done. I am now considering buying a chair for my mum, which will help when she stands. It'll automatically lift her up to a standing position. So that's the next thing I'm thinking of getting. So this box just here is very important, because this is my mum's alert system. So I have equipment that is all connected to this system, which is connected to an office, and if any of the equipments are activated, then the alert system or the people at the alert system or whatever will call out any emergency services that need. Like the other day when my tumble dryer started smoking, fire brigade were immediately alerted. They came out, and carers also have to come out to make sure that my mum is okay. All the emergency services have access to my house, so whether I'm in or I'm out, they can they have entry to the house, and they can come into the house to help my mum. If my mum falls, again, we can alert them. They can come out and help us. If I'm in the house myself and I can't lift my mum up, we have all this backup because of this alert system. So I hope this video has helped in some way. I hope it has given you some ideas of the type of equipment that could help in the house to make life just a little easier when you are coping with dementia. You know, the other thing is when I used to work full-time, I had to lock, you know, rooms. I had to lock, for example, the kitchen. A lot of the doors now in my house have locks on them, just again for my mum's own safety. I thought about putting locks on the cupboards, but then, you know, you have things like the cooker. I was scared she would decide to cook something, burn herself. So places like the kitchen were locked up, again, for my mum's own safety. Thank you very much for watching this video. So I hope this video has helped. I hope this video has helped just a little with making life a little easier. So from me, my mum, we'll catch you next time. Bye. Dixie. Sigala? Sigala? Hmm?